My name is Jim, and I watch The Atheist Edge.
My name is Dr. Brady Blevins, and I watch The Atheist Edge.
Tests have shown that holy water in fonts, stoups, baptistries, and springs contained up to 62 million bacteria per milliliter of water, considered hazardous to drink. The findings showed that 80% of the holy water tested contained bacteria commonly found in fecal matter, which can cause diarrhea and fever. Bet you think twice now before you sprinkle it on your face, wet your lips with it, or get your kid baptized. Besides the disgusting factor of spreading fecal matter on your lips, this oddly might have been a good thing for the community at the beginning. The spreading of bacteria from one person to another might have helped increase the community's immune system overall. Those that survived the illnesses brought about by the spreading of bacteria may have had stronger immune systems because of it. I could be wrong here, but if it was really that detrimental, then entire swaths of religious communities would have died off. Apparently, one isn't supposed to be drinking the water anyways, but I really wouldn't test my luck there either.
Hey Twitter, guess who said, "I have more to boast of than any man had. I am the only man that has been able to keep a whole church together since the days of Adam. A large majority of the whole have stood by me. Neither Paul, John, Peter, nor Jesus ever did it. I boast that no man ever did such work as I. The followers of Jesus ran away from him, but the Latter-day Saints never ran away from me yet." Hashtag golden plates, hashtag Moroni, hashtag I think I gave out too many hints.
There's one about, I think it's where Jesus is taken up to be tempted up on a high mountain, and he can see all the kingdoms of the world. And somebody said even China and South America. Well, the tallest mountain is in Iran, in the Middle East. I'm looking at my cheat sheet over here, and it's 18,406 miles from sea level, as far as I know. And you can't see nothing up there, because you can do it on Google. You can go with the first person that ascended it, I believe was in 500 and something, was Abu Khazraji, Dolof, Abu Dolof Khazraji. And it's Damavand is the name of the mountain. But I don't think you can see all the kingdoms of the world. And I guess that would be considered, God would show him in a hologram or something, I don't know. Satan, sorry. I get them confused often because that's how the Bible is to me. Yahweh is as much as evil as Satan at times.
Whosoever looks at a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. Now consider this. The adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Therefore, nearly every person on earth should be killed immediately. So this is one of the key concepts of religiosity in Christianity, and it's something that comes not until after you've at least converted or given your life to Jesus or responded to an altar call or whatever it is that is the method that a particular denomination is going to use to sort of separate you from your old self to your new self and have you as one of their own. Very early on, obviously the first concept that you get introduced to actually get you involved in Christianity itself is the concept of sin. And that's what gets you to respond in the first place. What gets you controlled and what gets you kept in the cycle that helps perpetuate the guilt required to feel the need to go to church continually, at least in my experience, is the constant guilt that's fed into you through making sure that you're constantly aware that you are imperfect and you are unable to achieve the standards for which God has actually set out for you to live by. Now, adultery, sex, these are massive mechanics that are leveraged in order to achieve that goal, because most people do have a sex drive, they do have attraction, they do have desires and hormones and all that juicy stuff, and it's an effective mechanism for control. So here in particular, we see where it's one of the places in the Bible where it clearly indicates that the sin itself is not the only thing that is evil. The desire to sin is in fact enough to condemn you to being unworthy of heaven, unworthy of salvation, and in need of Jesus. So to set the standard at looking at a woman being enough, well, looking at a woman with desire in your heart to lust after her, being the act of adultery, which is a death penalty, is quite an absurd but effective way of ensuring that you always got that drive to, I guess, self-flagellate at church every Sunday, and feel like you are in constant need of the Jesus solution that's being offered. That's definitely something they don't teach you up front, that basically once you enter the church, there's going to be lots of teachings that are reinforcing the idea that you as a person are broken, unworthy, and your very nature is evil. And that's a common theme, which you've probably seen throughout a lot of the other examples in the things they don't teach you in church. So, fun days, isn't it?
The Book of Abraham. Proof that Mormonism is 10 pounds of shit stuffed into a 5-pound bag. Joseph Smith was at an art exhibit, saw some ancient Egyptian papyrus scrolls, and immediately declared that they were written by the biblical Abraham and Joseph. He bought the scrolls and translated the hieroglyphics into what is now the Book of Abraham. This was before anybody knew how to read those hieroglyphics. The scrolls conveniently went missing for 131 years. By the time they were rediscovered at the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art in 1966, hieroglyphics had become decipherable. The scrolls turned out to be the Egyptian funerary text from the Book of the Dead, and had nothing whatsoever to do with Abraham and Joseph. I just watched a documentary on this a couple days ago, and it is true that they had nothing to do with Abraham. And I do believe his followers had acknowledged this point. However, only pieces of the scrolls were found. So they were able to skirt around this by suggesting that the missing pieces had the rest of the story. They also said that Joseph Smith could read the hieroglyphics because he had divine revelation.
I went to my window and I was like, whoa, there's some bullshit happening.
That happened right over there.
That was when he could read texts. The language naturally came to him through God. This is actually a common occurrence in Joseph Smith's overall story.
Allah turned humans into apes. Let me check the notes here. Yep, humans are apes. So where was I? All right, yeah. Allah turned humans into apes and pigs for the crime of working on the Sabbath. It's a good thing they weren't picking up sticks or anything.
Jim gave this analogy as far as for Adam and Eve about it's like a father giving his kids or putting drugs available to his kids. The kids' friends tempt them, and so the father burns the kids. But that's not a good analogy of hell. That would not be a good analogy because you get killed, the pain stops. Actually, if you get burnt to death, the pain stops as soon as your skin burns. And according to the Bible and the Quran, your skin keeps coming back, so you keep suffering this burning eternally. Well, that'd be a punishment. Punishment is meant to correct something. So if you're punished eternally, there's no correction, okay, maybe it's supposed to be a deterrent. We know the death penalty doesn't deter anybody. People still commit crimes. Crimes that are considered, mortal or whatever sins, but we call them capital crimes. And they just don't think they'll get caught. And if it's God, God's watching, it still doesn't stop believers from doing stuff that they know will get them sent to hell. Of course, there's always that accept Jesus at the end and get that escape route thing. Jesus the scapegoat to give you an escape clause, which again, that doesn't represent justice in any way, shape, or form. So I didn't like Jim's analogy just because it didn't take into it eternal suffering. There is nothing anybody could do that would make eternal suffering a viable punishment. And that's just revenge. That just shows revenge. And the ones that actually talk about you get to enjoy watching. I know the Quran mentions this more. I don't remember it in the Bible, which I have read cover to cover 5 times. I don't remember it saying how. I do remember something about the righteous will enjoy being able to see the tormenting of the damned. And how could you? I couldn't do that. That wouldn't be me. That would be some robotic enemy. So heaven is just as much of a problem as hell, as far as I'm concerned. And there's again, there's no analogy that can really match that. And of course, nobody mentions that there was not just the tree of forbidden knowledge, which is in every creation story, is knowledge stolen from the gods and somebody gets punished for it, but there's also the tree of eternal life. So they can't say death entered with sin, the original sin, and without the original sin, there goes the whole Jesus bit. So again, that kind of proves that there's nothing to these except some sci-fi type writers, early sci-fi writers, who probably were eating some natural mushrooms or something. That explains Revelations, at least.
Women are not allowed into heaven, but as luck would have it, women can become males in the afterlife. Simon Peter said to them, "Let Mary leave us, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "I myself shall lead her in order to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit, resembling you males. For every woman who will make herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." Now, while this isn't part of the 66 traditional books in the Bible, this is part of a Gnostic book. I think something that's key is that this is the type of belief that is actually extant within the entire collection of books, and that's the idea of the primacy of males. Males are the patriarchs. Like, I mean, duh, let's go. Like that's it. It's the patriarchy, right? So this is something that is deeply woven throughout the entirety of the Bible, and it's the hierarchical relationship between men and women, and it is very clearly taught that men are the patriarchs in a very literal sense. Obviously, they're the head of the church in the way that Jesus is the head of the church. They are who are created directly in the image of God, where women are brought from the rib of Adam as opposed to directly from God. So I remember being taught that the reason that women wore long hair, and this is not necessarily something that is brought out of a biblical verse exactly, but it's part of the theology that builds up around verses and sort of Christian beliefs that are very much like what we're looking at here. And the idea that women should have long hair because women come from men and are therefore the glory of man, and man shouldn't be glorified, only God can be gloried, and so the hair covers man's glory and is humbling to men, so that's why they wear long hair. Likewise, men should have short hair because men represent the glory of God who created them, and therefore they can have short hair and they are in charge of everything. And women, submit yourselves to men, fathers own daughters and give daughters away. And it is just horrible way to set up society if part of your goal for society is to ensure that the well-being and the autonomy of all members of society is equal, because obviously this just takes the idea of women being self-determining and basically throws it away, which is something that we've had to really work hard at getting rid of that idea for thousands of years, thanks to early religious beliefs. And it sucks, but they don't teach you that before you start.
Atheist Edge. Walking the edge of what some consider offensive. But your feelings don't matter here, only facts. Edgy commentary on the dangers of doctrine, the foibles of faith, the bullshit of belief, the stupidity of superstition, and the idiocy of indoctrination. With razor-sharp wit, curiosity, and critical thought, we take an unblinking look at today's religions. We are Atheist Edge.